The following program is underwritten in part by World's Best Cat Litter. You love your cat, but you don't love the litter box mess. Switch to World's Best Cat Litter and get a cleaner litter box with less hassle and less litter. Find it at Target, Walmart, and in your local grocery and pet stores.
Celebrating the connection with our pets. This is Animal Radio, featuring your dream team, veterinarian Dr. Debbie White and groomer Joey Villani. And here are your hosts, Hal Abrams and Judy Francis.
And today he is back for his 15th appearance on Animal Radio. If you're a regular listener, you already know who that is. That would be Mr. Bob Barker.
Bob Barker.
He is an amazing gentleman. How old is he now?
I think he's,
93?
93
Yeah, 93.
years old. Yes.
Wow.
Sharp.
I admire him for, staying so active and up with his personal causes. I think that's remarkable, and I hope to be at that position at his age.
Yeah.
No kidding.
I don't know if he still has any animals. I know he had rabbits, so we'll have to ask him about that. But there was usually a rabbit next to him on every phone call. So we'll find out. I know they were getting up there in rabbit years. How long does a rabbit usually live?
Oh, I usually see him living 8 to 10, even 12 years sometimes.
Wow.
That's good.
A lot of little prolific guys, too. I think he let them roam free on the whole second floor, and they would get into the TV and the cables and
Chew
stuffing
on
and
things.
pillows.
He
and
didn't care.
He didn't really care. I mean,
Nope.
the second floor was
For the rabbits.
for the rabbits. Absolutely. But first, your calls, toll free at 1-866-405-8405. We'll take a couple of your calls now, and then we'll do some news at the bottom of the hour. Lori, what are you working on?
When you leave the house, I know I leave, music or a TV show on for my pets. And it turns out after this new research that was released this week, one kind of music. Well, there's a couple kinds they don't like, but this one especially stresses dogs out.
Huh. I hope it's not the music I'm leaving on. I leave on classical music when I leave the house. And I think that it would be calming for them. It's calming for me, but we'll find out with the brand new research that Lori has done. And we'll
It's really interesting.
Okay. We ready to go to the phones? Let's do it.
Yes, let's go.
And hi, Diane. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you today?
Good. Where are you calling from?
Orlando, Florida.
Orlando. Okay. How can we help you?
I found a kitten, a female kitten, and we brought her in the house because it was winter time, winter for Florida. And she stayed here for a while. Actually, she's living here now. We named her Spare Kitty. But Spare Kitty has swollen glands that look like the mumps, and I don't know what to do about it.
Okay. So she's about how old right now then?
Well, she's had her first heat, so I figured she might be about 6 or 7 months old.
Okay. And is she feeling sickly in any way?
No, she's very healthy. She's active. She bounces around and.
Okay, good.
Kitten.
Okay. Well, when we have swollen lymph nodes, especially in the neck area, a couple of things do come to mind. One of the first things I think of in kittens of about the ages between 3 and 7 months of age is they can get a kind of strep infection, and it's called juvenile streptococcal lymphadenitis. And if that's not a mouthful, then then I don't know. But basically, it starts as a strep infection that they get in the tonsils, and it works its way to the lymph nodes in the neck. So that certainly could be a possibility there, among other things. So other things in kittens that will cause their lymph nodes to be enlarged can be some viral diseases like feline leukemia. We can also see bacterial infections like Bartonella, which are associated with cat scratch fever. So any of these things, I think, are going to really justify a trip to your veterinarian so we can get her checked out. And that might be something as first starting with getting her viral tested, as well as, getting a sample from the lymph node, because that can tell us a lot there. But for a lot of those things, if we're not dealing with the viral thing, we're talking about getting her on some antibiotics and getting her, treated appropriately. So that I'd feel pretty favorable about that. And then we need to get this gal spayed. My goodness.
Oh, I know. I thought she was an older cat when I first brought her in, but I went to give her to some friends because they wanted to see her for the weekend. And when I did that, she went into heat, and I said, "Oh, this is a kitten. This is not a cat."
Yeah. Well, so definitely. So great that you took her in, but let's get her into the vet, and we can get all that taken care of pretty easily if it is what I think it is.
All right, thanks.
Thanks for calling, Diane. We appreciate it. Toll free 1-866-405-8405. Hey, Dave.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing today? What can we do for you?
Well, I was wondering if there's a way to tell if my dog is the perfect weight, overweight, or underweight.
That's a great question, Dave, and I thank you for asking that, because I think a lot of times as pet owners, we think we know our dogs are in good weight, and the actual truth is, in the vast majority of the cases, in my patients, they're actually overweight. So, yeah, and I'd like to share a factoid here, because according to recent studies, in dogs in the U.S., 35 to 40% of dogs are overweight or obese.
That's all.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's a lot. And cats are similar. They're about 25 to 35% of U.S. cats are obese or overweight. So this is a huge number, and that does have implications. So I'm so glad that you bring this up. Because we know that obesity is going to cause our pets to have increased rates of problems like diabetes, arthritis, orthopedic issues, skin infections, believe it or not. Many people are surprised by that because that excess skin from being overweight can actually make them more prone to non-allergy type, skin infections. So it's a big issue. So the number one thing that I would say is, communicate with your veterinarian. In our office, every time we see a patient, we do what we call a body condition score. So we take a pet's weight, but we also score their body condition. And there's kind of two different scales for that. 1 to 5 or 1 to 9 are the two different scales. But basically it helps put a number at where your pet's condition is so that we can measure that between different visits and different doctors potentially. So that's something you can look that up online. There's one made by Purina, but you can go to pretty much anywhere on the internet and find a body condition score. We can look at a chart, and kind of it gives the view usually from the side and from the top down, because there's different ways we look at our pets, and we're basically looking to see if they have a nice, kind of like an hourglass figure for our pet. So we want to see a little bit of tucked up in the kind of in the abdomen area, a little bit tapered there. We don't want to see a potato shape, and certainly we don't want to see kind of the torpedo shape, kind of the rounded shape. So that's kind of.
This is strange because my dog is like a tubular, but she's a Rottweiler Shepherd mix. Mm-hmm. So when you look at her from the top, she's tubular. You look from the bottom, there's like a cut up where the back legs are, but she seems very beefy but strong and not overweight. You can't pinch the gut at all.
Yeah, and I think I would probably have to see her, because a normal, like a perfect weight dog, which in my category is a 3 out of 5, when we actually put our hands on the ribs, we should feel ribs. There may be a little bit of some tissue covering that, but we actually do want to feel ribs. And we also want to see that tuck up on the flank from the side. And then if you're standing above, we want to see a little bit of a tuck between the chest and the hips. There should be a narrowing there. So if we're straight like a rectangular, then I'm going to probably put your dog at a 4 out of 5, just from what you're describing, which means we're already in the overweight category. So, and that's where I think, getting a veterinary assessment is helpful. And a lot of folks tell me, what number? How much should my pet weigh? And it's never about the number, just like with people. We hate to label pets as being overweight because they're over 35 pounds or 45 pounds when the breed standard says they should be a different weight. But the body condition score really is going to be very important for you to help kind of figure that out and know how to alter your feedings. Because that's the next step that we would talk about, is what kind of strategies do we use to just trim off a little bit of weight. And this is what I do for my dogs. So I can tell you, experience over all the years, the amount of food that a pet food manufacturer tells you on the bag to feed is way overestimated.
Is it?
It is. Okay. Yes, by far. And, I have people come in all the time and say, my 75-pound dog, I'm feeding, 6 cups a day, and that's how much the food manufacturer says. And I'll be like, you know what? No.
Are they just putting that on the label to sell more dog food?
The reason that the amounts that I think that there's a discrepancy, and whether or not we believe they're trying to sell more food or not, I don't know. But I do believe that we overestimate a pet's metabolic activity. So what are they doing during the day? Many pets kind of hang around the house, sit on the couch, bark at the mailman, and they don't necessarily do a lot. So if they're out doing athletic sports, doing running, they're hunting, they're doing very vigorous activity, you may need to feed more of that higher end of the feeding amount on that bag of dog food. But the dog that doesn't do that or goes for a walk twice a week or 3 times a week is not getting that same level of physical activity that we might be expecting.
Okay.
So,
chasing the mailman every day count for
no more than me running to the television. So no.
But for the mailman, that's a good 100 calories.
Well, he's not eating the mailman, right?
No.
Thank you so much for your call today, Dave. Toll free 1-866-405-8405 to reach out to the Dream Team. This Healthy Serving of Animal Radio brought to you by the grain-free Red Barn Naturals canned food for dogs and cats. Always made in the USA with natural, functional ingredients that support your pet's optimal health. Visit them over at redbarninc.com. And thanks, Red Barn, for underwriting Animal Radio.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now at 1-866-405-8405.
Dogs or cats, horse or emu, animals are people too. Hospitals and nursing homes are taking down their no dogs allowed signs. Medical studies show that people who own a pet make fewer trips to the doctor. Pets can help calm people with high blood pressure, and just the act of petting a pet can release the feel-good hormones in humans, helping many patients with depression. There are numerous studies that show the positive effect of owning a dog, from getting some exercise while walking a dog to companionship for shut-ins. All these big medical studies just show what we knew all along. Life is better when you share it with a pet. Have you hugged yours today? I'm Britt Savage for Animal Radio. Animals are people too. Animal Radio.
Hi, this is Elaine Boozler on Animal Radio. Spay and neuter your pets and some of your exes.
People say less is more. At Red Barn, we think less is better. It's what you won't find that sets our natural premium pet food apart. No byproducts, no corn or soy, no fillers. Just the natural ingredients your pets need to live the healthy life they deserve. Look at the label. We want you to. Red Barn Naturals Pet Food. Simply the best. Find it in your local pet specialty store. Red Barn canned food for cats and dogs is grain and gluten-free.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now at 1-866-405-8405.
It's Animal Radio, celebrating the connection with our pets. The toll-free number is 1-866-405-8405. Don't forget, you can also ask your questions from the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android. And coming up next hour for his 15th appearance, and I believe this is a record. I don't believe anybody else has been on the show this much. Bob Barker will be back with us.
Woo-hoo. I love him.
He is an amazing guy who's just always dedicated his life to the animals.
That's awesome. Remember his rabbit?
Oh, his bunnies?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had, I believe, his whole second floor, but don't bring those up because I don't think they're still with us anymore. Yeah. But he had the whole second floor of his house dedicated to his bunnies, and they would eat through the cords and wires of the TV set.
Ooh, that's dangerous.
That is dangerous. We're also going to go to the phones for Dr. Debbie and Joey Villani in just a couple of seconds. What are we doing at the bottom of the hour, Miss Brooks?
We have. I had so much fun working on this. There is this awesome new study that's out on what kind of music dogs prefer to listen to. And there's all kinds of variables. So if you're one of those, like we all are, who leaves the house and leaves something on for your pets to keep them company, we'll tell you what's going to keep them calm, what works, okay?
I could never agree with my dog. I'll start Pandora and she'll come over and she'll skip a song. She doesn't like a song or something like that. We just don't have similar tastes. So.
Well, we'll help you on that, Hal. I'll give you the secrets.
Okay, let's go to the phones. We have a call for Dr. Debbie, and it's BJ. Welcome to the show, BJ.
Hey, Hal. Dr. Debbie.
Hey there. How are you?
Well, good. I just got a puppy that, well, my baby, in about the last 3-4 months, he'll be 4 years old next month.
Okay.
And he has decided, when he was a baby, he's a Boston Terrier. So being brachycephalic, he's got them buggy eyes.
Yeah. They're adorable with that.
Well, that's what I love them. But you always have to take the dew claws off because they rub their face and tear up their eyes.
Okay.
So I had his dew claws taken off when he was a baby.
Okay. And what's he doing now?
He's now licking where that dew claw was.
Okay. And just one of the legs?
And licks on both front feet.
Mm-hmm.
Am I getting arthritis?
Well, the answer is maybe. For pets that, with these front dew claws, there's some controversy whether we have to take them off in some breeds of dogs, or if we just leave them well enough alone. So for various reasons, such as rubbing the face, or really athletic dogs that may tear them up if they're really cutting into the ground, they'll tear their dew claws, whatever reason. So if we end up taking those off, there are some unusual consequences that sometimes can come up. And yes, we can occasionally see arthritis in the wrist. It's not terribly common, and it's something that we could pretty easily pick up off of an x-ray to see if that might be the case. There are also dogs where, depending on the surgery and the technique and so forth, I have occasionally seen dogs where they'll kind of grow back a little bit of nail tissue. If that little bit of the germinal tissue, the part where the nail grows from, if that hasn't been completely removed, that can kind of fester, cause some problems, and even grow back into some form of a nail. So that too, a physical exam with your vet and maybe even an x-ray would help to kind of figure that out. But the third thing that can happen from any surgery, but we sometimes see it with some of these amputations, whether it's from a limb amputation, a toe, or even tails in dogs. We've seen this. And it's something called paraesthesia, and it's a type of nerve pain, which is very much like kind of that pins and needle feeling. And it's kind of a triggering of that nerve where there's really not necessarily a painful stimulus, but it feels weird. And it can either be a type of nerve pain or it can have this tingling feeling. So for some of those pets, once I've ruled out that other stuff that, there's something more serious going on with that joint, sometimes we'll try treating with medications geared towards that. And there's a couple different ones that I'll use. One is called gabapentin. And it can be very helpful for dogs or cats that chew and mutilate their tails or body parts. So if they're really obsessive, sometimes it's not that they're just being naughty. Sometimes it feels weird and there's something going on. So a medication like gabapentin would be something I would definitely give this baby a try. And then there's even some tricyclic antidepressants that we can use for some pets if there's other triggers that we think are going on. But I would definitely get this kid to the vet and let them take a look at that and see if we need to take a picture of that to figure this out a little bit more, because there's a lot we can do.
Could it be an allergy? Because he's allergic to everything.
Yeah, and I guess the things when we talk about, if he's focusing on the dew claw itself, it would be strange for a dog to focus on the dew claw with allergies. Allergies are kind of systemic, so they affect the in between the feet, the ears, the butt, all sorts of areas of the body. So it would be very unusual if this was the only place that he was focusing on and working on, and to blame that on allergies. So just kind of keep that in mind and give that baby a pat on the head. I love those big buggy eyes. They're adorable. You just got to take extra cautions with those eyes, don't you?
Yes, we do. I used to have one that every time he saw a cat, he had to be friendly and run right up and smell him and face to face, and kitties hate that. And whap.
Yeah.
That was a $100 bill to go to the vet, because then we had to go get our eyes tested and medicine and walk through weeds.
We say they're cute, but they're not always necessarily the smartest ones out there. So, well, thank you for your call, BJ. We appreciate it, and we're here to take your calls at Animal Radio at 1-866-405-8405.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now at 1-866-405-8405.
I am the family dog. And it's that time of year again. The one where pet parents start looking for Fido-friendly hotels and destinations where Fido is welcome. Make no bones about it. Pets are part of the family, and we like to sniff out new places too. And we hate to be turned away, especially when we're on our best behavior. So we won't be left out in the cold. Be sure to pick up a copy of Fido Friendly Magazine to find the best hotels and destinations where Fido is always welcome. Go online to FidoFriendly.com and subscribe today.
This is an Animal Radio News Update brought to you by Fear Free. Fear Free takes the pet out of petrified and puts the treat into treatment. To learn more and find a certified Fear Free veterinary professional near you, visit fearfreepets.com.
I'm Lori Brooks. Now, when you leave your house, do you leave the TV or radio on for your pets? I do. When I leave, I usually put on something like, a documentary or HGTV because there's no violence or horror screams. And sometimes I'll do soothing, mellow music, but I never ever put on Animal Planet because I don't want a dog coming on and barking and my dog's freaking out that there's a strange animal in their home because they don't know what's going on, right?
Sure.
Am I the only one who does that?
No, absolutely not. I usually leave a little classical music for the cats.
Hal, aren't you brilliant? And the reason I say you're brilliant is because I've learned a few things this week.
Okay.
There's some new research out that indicates when it comes to music, dogs need a variety of music, and certain kinds of music will definitely calm them. A study was done for the Scottish Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, and researchers at the University of Glasgow in Scotland played 6-hour-long playlist from Spotify, and they used 5 different genres of music, and they played this for shelter dogs. These entire, 6-hour-long playlist. On one day, the dogs would hear all classical music. On other days, they would hear either all soft rock or reggae or all pop or all Motown. Now, the dogs all, while this was going on, they wore heart rate monitors while the researchers, they monitored their cortisol or stress level hormones, their heart rates, and behaviors like barking and things that showed they were stressed. And they did so even on days when no music was being played so they could compare everything that was happening. Here is what they found. The dogs were generally less stressed when they heard music, and they even showed a slight preference for, you got any guesses?
Motown?
Motown, yeah.
Funny you would say Motown. No, a slight preference for reggae or soft rock. Now, when you said Motown, that's one of the types of music that they liked the least. It got the most paws down.
Wait a minute. What kind of dogs did they test?
All kinds. But the range of responses to the genres was really mixed. But what they did see is that different dogs responded differently. Like we each have, our own personal taste in music. So they say there might be a personal preference for some dogs for different types of music. Now, other research involving shelter dogs does support this chill factor of classical music and suggest that dogs are not fans of heavy metal, which tended to leave many dogs physically shaking. I mean, you could see they were stressed.
Sure. You like heavy metal music, though, don't you?
No, not. I used to listen to it, but I just find that listening to it now just makes me want to pull my hair out. In country music, which is reportedly, supposedly calming, and we used to play that for our pets in our boarding facility. But, that too drives me crazy. And I think, a lot of those suicidal things they talk about, your wife leaving you, your dog leaving you, losing your job. I don't want my pets to start getting suicidal thoughts.
The results for this make a very, very strong case for music as a calming technique, especially in shelters where the high stress levels, can leave dogs cowering and barking, jumping at people for attention, behaving in ways that makes it more difficult for them to get adopted. This study was published, by the way, if you want to find out more, in the journal Psychology, or rather Physiology and Behavior. And it was actually built on some previous research by the very same team that found shelter dogs hearing classical music, just like Hal plays for his cats, that those dogs hearing classical bark less and they lie down more. And those are, signs of relaxation. But keep in mind that this effect does not last forever. By the 7th day, even of classical music, the benefits to the dogs in the study had kind of worn off, showing that they get used to the music. It's like elevator music in the background. Mm-hmm. That's why in this study, researchers tested different kinds of music, and a variety of tunes in their favorite genre is best, they say. Because you don't want them to get used to it. You don't want to play the heavy metal, so maybe a reggae song. And it's funny, Hal, isn't it? Because we've all been in radio so long. And Judy, you think about this. Remember, variety was always the key word in radio for how many years? Because people liked variety. So just kind of vary it, but keep it within the limits of what keeps them calm. And by the way, shelter dogs, so I guess other dogs would too, also appear to find audiobooks very calming and soothing.
Wow.
Really? Yeah. So put on some of those. And as the search for what makes our pets happy, as that continues, the next question for these researchers is to find exactly what dogs like or dislike in music. Like, is there a particular instrument that they find pleasant, or even, a certain kind of beat or tempo? Down in North Carolina, there's a state lawmaker there, Representative Garland Pierce, and he wants pet owners to show affection for their pets, but just, please don't do it, he says, while you're trying to drive your car. Pierce says, I don't have a problem with pets. Actually, I want people to love their pets, but he wants the highways to be safer. Pierce is the primary sponsor of North Carolina House Bill 73, which was recently introduced there. He says he introduced it because his constituents raised the issue with people, driving with animals while in their laps, and, maybe they're at a higher risk for being involved in traffic accidents because, animals can be a distraction, and that would reduce reaction time if a critical moment came up. It is not a law yet, though. House Bill 73 is in committee now, and then if it's approved in the committee, then it will have to be put before the full chamber of state representatives for debate, and then they will vote on it, and then the governor would have to sign it into law. But, I sure hope that they have a law against, talking on a cell phone while you're driving or texting, because that's pretty distracting too.
And then if you mix all three, the texting and the phone calls and the pet on the lap
dog,
there.
Yeah, while playing heavy metal music. Disaster. I'm Lori Brooks. Get more breaking animal news anytime at animalradio.com.
This has been an Animal Radio News Update brought to you by Fear Free. The veterinarian isn't typically thought of as your pet's favorite place to go. With Fear Free, that all changes. To learn more and find a certified Fear Free veterinary professional near you, visit fearfreepets.com.
Hi friends, this is Dr. Marty Becker, America's veterinarian. As you know, going to the vet can be a traumatic experience for your pet, but it doesn't have to be that way. In fact, vet visits can be something your pet looks forward to. Introducing Fear Free. When your veterinarian is fear-free certified, you will be assured your pet's vet visit is more free of fear, anxiety, and stress than ever before. Fear-free takes the pet out of petrified, and it puts the treat into treatment. To find a certified fear-free veterinarian near you, go to fearfreepets.com.
Hi, Brenda. How are you?
Hello.
Where are you today?
I'm in New Mexico.
Okay. How can we help you? I got the good doctor right here.
Hi.
Oh, my cat. Hello. My cat is licking her side, and her hair. She's licking her hair off. Just one
what
side.
Part of her side?
Just the center of it, just about a 6-inch strip.
Okay, on the right or the left side of her body, or both sides?
Yes, just one side.
Just one side. Okay. And how old again is she?
She's between 12 and 14.
Okay, so she's an older gal. And how's everything else with the rest of her health? Is there anything else going on currently?
No, she's still playful.
Well, when I have an older kitty that's displaying signs of grooming in an unusual spot like this, it's a little less common that we start looking at things like allergies and skin disease. I actually start to go looking for some of the more internal problems. In a lot of these cases, I can actually find that a cat might be displaying signs of pain, something going wrong internally. So I will check x-rays. A lot of times I'll find things like bladder stones or arthritis. And these type of things can cause them to groom on the surface in a way to react to some more inner pain and discomfort that they're having. So that would definitely be something that I would look at. And some older cats also with some different types of hormone problems. We can see problems with kidney disease, liver disease, diabetes, some of those where we can even see some types of skin problems and manifestations of that. So it would probably be something that if I had her here right now, I'd pull up my nice big needle and syringe and draw some blood and get those x-rays and take a good look, because in many cases, it's kind of the kitty's way of telling us that, hey, I'm not right. There's something going on inside. And we definitely would want to go searching along that avenue. And as far as, I should also ask if she's on any medicines of any sort currently.
No.
No. And is she the only kitty in your household here?
No, there's 2 other cats, and I have them on food for urinary tract infection.
Okay.
And so I just put them all on that.
Okay, so she's not necessarily had a problem with that before then.
No, that wasn't why I put them on, because of her. It was another one of them.
Yeah. But I would say that's going to be my first thing. And then, of course, if you're in an area where we talk about fleas, as always, we look over the rump of the tail area, right above the tail base area, and that's a common site for fleas. But, I think that she's trying to tell us something, and, I wouldn't hesitate to go look in there and see what we can figure out from the inside out, if you will.
Okay.
Time for the vet, Brenda.
Okay, I'll take her to the vet.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now at 1-866-405-8405.
We can't tell you why canine caviar is the only alkaline-based dog food, but we can tell you alkaline is proven to minimize the risk of renal failure and pancreatitis, reduce scratching, cellular degeneration, and disease, keeping your furry friend youthful and healthy longer. And those are the reasons we can fit into this short commercial. But by visiting caninecaviar.com, you'll see exactly what we do to make a better food for your dog. Try the one and only alkaline dog food risk-free. Canine Caviar.
You're listening to Animal Radio. If you missed any part of today's show, visit us at animalradio.com or download the Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
It's Animal Radio, celebrating the connection with our pets, toll-free. 1-866-405-8405. We'll head back to the phones for your calls for Dr. Debbie and Joey Villani in just a couple of seconds. But first, we go across the pond. We're going to visit with what is a zoopharmacognosist. I welcome her to the show. Her name is Siobhan Pestano. Is that Italian?
Siobhan is actually Irish and Pestano is Portuguese Guyanese.
I love the name. Wow. I will never forget it.
Thank you, Hal.
And what is a zoopharmacognosist?
That's a great one. You're doing really well with the name, so well done on that. It is somebody who facilitates zoopharmacognosy. Now, I must say that some of my colleagues are actually really struggling to get this word across to people. So somebody has come up with an alternative term, which is going to help explain what it is, called botanical self-healing. Zoopharmacognosy is a scientific term coined a few years ago when the behavior first started getting recognized. And if you break it down into 3 parts, zoo, animal, pharma, medicine, and cognosy, knowing, it literally translates as animal medicine knowing, referring to animals' innate knowledge and ability to heal themselves using plants as they do in the wild. And so, very long answer to your question, Hal, but what I do as a zoopharmacognosist is I facilitate animals self-medicating, because obviously an animal in the wild is free to roam and forage and take a little bit of this or a little bit of that, and they're able to address challenges as soon as they occur. Whereas if somebody has a dog or a cat or even a horse in a field full of grass rather than mixed herbs, they don't have the freedom to seek their own medicines, and it doesn't serve any animal well to appear sickly or weak. So they tend to hide it from us and from everyone. And by the time we can look at our pet and see that they're ill, they've already been ill for a while.
Okay, so you help animals self-medicate, which seems it seems that they're not self-medicating if you help them. But I guess that's because they can't get a hold of the herbs that they might prefer to self-medicate with. Is that correct? Am I understanding that?
It is. I've obviously explained one little bit badly. When I say I facilitate,
okay.
I don't give them the extract, and all I do is I offer. And what happens from the animal's point? Firstly, I mean, some of my kit is dried herbs, powders, etc. But the most powerful part of my kit is actually single plant extract essential oils, which are very, very powerful, and they can do a lot medicinally simply through the animal's sense of smell. They don't necessarily take it by mouth.
Wow.
But
So I have a question. Is this, I mean, for those of us that don't really do a lot of alternative medicine, is this aromatherapy?
That's what I was
Or is this
thinking.
something more?
Yeah. Okay, so that's again, it's a great question because it's something that really confuses people a lot. It kind of is in as much as there are aromas involved and it's therapy, but it isn't in as much as if you went to an aromatherapist or had an aromatherapy massage or consultation, you would tell them what the problem is and they would decide what is good for you according to what they know about X, Y, and Z plant extracts. Now, although, that absolutely has its place and can be helpful, what zoopharmacognosy does, what self-medication does or provides is individualized medicine, because I could have a bunch of things with antibiotic or antibacterial properties. Not every animal is going, if I offer them 8 to an animal that's got an infection, it might select 3, maybe 4 of them. All animals aren't going to select the same dosage. They're not going to select the same type of remedy. And the individualization of being able to select how much of what it is and how they want it applied, whether they're smelling it, inhaling it, having it topically applied, which they will show you what they want.
So they're actually selecting the medication?
Yeah, I mean, I know that sounds very counterintuitive to, again, our culture of we know what's best for our animals. And we think that, partly because of what I do, I realise that's not true. But obviously there are lots of instances of animals poisoning themselves. So a very natural response is, what you're saying is completely nuts because we know animals poison themselves, therefore you can't possibly be right. And that's, that's fair enough. But actually, it's like, I love talking about that because it's like there are a handful of reasons or circumstances where animals will poison themselves, all of which are explainable. Anything from starvation, drought, sequential selection, i.e. if a horse had a load of acorns, if it had access to them and it was eating them because, I don't know, say it wanted to tighten up a wound, but if it felt it had too many tannins in the wild, it would then go and select some sapin-enriched plants. That's another example.
So I'm a dog walker, and I know a lot of the dogs that I walk stop and eat grass. Is that a form of self-medication?
Yes, that's the one example that most people go, oh, my dog or my cat sometimes eats grass. Exactly that. Are they self-medicating? And yes, indeed they are. Probably you'll see with a lot of the dogs, sometimes they're doing it to purge, but not all. Yeah, sometimes, but not always. And there's a real mixed bag of reactions to that as well. Some like, oh my God, it's going to make you sick. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. It's like, that's a little bit anthropomorphic because we think, oh, being sick, yucky. But the dog's like, hey, I'm a scavenger. I want a great big bath because I've got something in my gut that I really don't want to. So if I have some of this, I'm just going to bring it all back up and feel so much better.
All very enlightening. Can you tell us, is there a website where we could learn more about the botanical self-healing?
I'm sure you could have a look at my website, which is calmercreatures.co.uk.
And I'll put that link over at animalradio.com.
Thank you very much.
And links to everything you've heard on today's show. Thank you so much for hanging with us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Siobhan Pestano joining us. We'll head back to the phones for your calls toll free at 1-866-405-8405 next.
All dogs should eat a pH-balanced alkaline diet. An alkaline diet reduces health risks and can also reduce scratching, shedding, and hot spots. So does this mean you need to check your dog's pH balance? No, because Canine Caviar has created the first and only alkaline dog food that is pH balanced. It also has the highest metabolized calories. What does this mean? Your dog needs to eat less. Get a healthier dog and save money with Canine Caviar products. Find them at your local pet supply store or online at caninecaviar.com.
Celebrating the connection with our pets. This is Animal Radio, featuring your dream team, veterinarian Dr. Debbie White and groomer Joey Villani. And here are your hosts, Hal Abrams and Judy Francis.
This thing on? In just a few minutes, we're going to have Bob Barker on for his 15th appearance here on Animal Radio. And over the 16 years or so that he's been coming on almost on a yearly basis, he's talked about the circus and really shutting down the circus and the elephants that shouldn't be performing in the circus. And he's even gone as far as flying some of these elephants out of these precarious situations and to shelters and sanctuaries across the country. That's also
awesome.
It really is pretty cool. He's also been very involved with trying to get SeaWorld to shutter their whale act, and they have done that. So we have a lot of things to celebrate, a lot of things to talk about. And he's 93 years old.
Gosh,
still doing
amazing.
this.
Wow.
And quite the ladies' man still, I understand. He also, as you might remember, he brought to our attention the situation with the American Humane Association and that Dustin Hoffman movie, HBO movie, about 3 years ago, where the Humane Association was on set and gave them their credentials. You know, the no animals were harmed in the making of this movie credentials, a little certification at the end of the movie. Yet there was a horse that was harmed during that movie.
I think the horse died, didn't it?
I think so, although I don't know that for sure.
I don't know. I just know that Bob Barker is not a big fan of the AHA.
So I want to ask him about A Dog's Purpose and this movie and the whole controversy with the German Shepherd. Hercules, the German Shepherd, on that set. So that's on the way in just a few minutes. What are you working on over there, Lori?
Well, one state has just opened up this huge new expansive facility. It cost them $65 million to build this. Yeah, on 14 acres. And it's all about animals.
You know, when I ask for a tease, you really do give a tease there.
I try to deliver, Hal.
Titillating. Okay, let's go to the phones. And let's take one for Dr. Debbie. We have Bill on line 3. Hi, Bill. How are you doing?
Pretty good.
Where are you calling from today?
My call. New York.
New York.
Yep.
Okay. What's going on with your animal? I have Dr. Debbie right here.
Yeah, doctor. I have a 3-year-old English Springer, and she's getting a habit of eating dung.
Eating dog dung or other animal dung?
Yeah, dog's dung. I have another animal, or another dog too, and she, they play together and stay in the pen, and I let them out, and they'll run around, and my Springer will start that habit, which I was wondering how to break that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's a lovely dung behavior. So, yeah, and if we're being confined in now, is this a dog like a kennel, like a fenced-in kennel, or a crate?
Like a crate kennel.
Okay, alrighty. As far as, and I'm taking it that she's only eating the other dog's poop, or is she eating her own as well? I
don't know. I try to keep them cleaned up, and I know she's eating stuff out there, and she comes in and just dung breath, so I know that she's doing that.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, the reasons for why dogs do this, the honest truth is we have a lot of theories, but nobody really knows the absolute certain cause. A lot of times we kind of look back at how puppies are, when they develop and when they're with mom, the mother dog actually licks their urogenital area, so they ingest their feces and their urine. And some people feel that this can be kind of a mimicked behavior that just kind of sets in a pattern, and then they just don't kind of get out of. Other times, we talk about the fat or the protein content in the stool, and some dogs are really attracted to things like rabbit poop, feces, different animal feces, because there's different compounds, enzymes, proteins in there that may be somewhat attractive. And it's crazy to think that poop tastes good, but you know what? It really does to some animals. so in some ways, when you have a positive reinforcement for a behavior, it's hard to stop it because they just enjoy it. Now, some of the things we need to do when we have a doggy that is eating poop is, one, we need to take away the opportunity where they can get into that. So that means we have to pick up that poop as soon as it is passed. We don't want to leave that stool left out in their environment where they can get around that and ingest it. The second thing is that we want to not make a big deal about it when you do catch them in the act. And just like a kid that smacks around his brother or sister for attention so he gets his parents to yell at him, dogs will eat poop because they love to hear us yell, scream, throw things. Stop it, stop it, stop it. And that actually, again, is a positive reward for that behavior because they just got you off the couch and they just got your attention, and now you're paying attention to them. So you want to make sure that you don't react to that way, but to give them some kind of alternate thing to do. So if a dog is trying to pick up stool, a squeaky toy, a tennis ball, something you can throw in the other way that is going to get their attention, divert them from the stool. Do not make a big deal out of it. Do not try to discipline them, make them hold the stool in their mouth or say bad dog. That's not going to help at all. And then also we want to look at just, keeping these guys from being bored and anxious. So when they do come out of the kennel, we got to divert that activity and energy, get them running, get them doing something so that they don't turn, look, see that stool right there and like, okay, that's a great plaything. Yeah. I'm going to go for that. So it's kind of a combination of all these things. And, you can do some of the things where people will put cayenne pepper on the poop and so forth. But I think the time you spend walking around with that little Tabasco bottle, dressing those the piles of poop, you might as well work on avoidance and keeping that stool out of the environment. So, yeah. And there, definitely some people will say, use MSG, add it to the poop or add it to the dog that is passing the poop. And there's a lot of deterrents that they sell on the market. So those things can help, but by themselves, they won't solve this. You kind of got to get at the heart of all of these behaviors and getting your, like Vlad would say, get the dog a job, something to do, and then really, keep the opportunity to a minimum.
Yeah, it's too bad they can't clean it up themselves, but...
Hey, I like that idea. It's just that opposable thumb thing, they can't quite get that scooper going.
All right. Well, thanks for your help, Doctor.
Thanks, Bill, for your call at 1-866-405-8405 to connect with our dream team. I believe we have John on the phone. Hi, John.
Hi, how you doing?
Very good. Where are you calling from?
I'm in Tennessee at the moment right now, so if I do lose you, I do apologize. I'm up in the mountains.
Well, what's up with your pets today?
I have a 5.5-year-old Doberman, female, sweetheart. We've had her since newborn.
Okay.
The problem we're having is we get her groomed once a month, and within a week later, she starts to smell like a sock, an old sock.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah, and I was just wondering is it something she's lacking in her diet? Is it something that we can do to change that, or is that just a normal thing?
Okay, so she's not sleeping with dirty socks or anything weird like that. She just kind of naturally smells.
No, actually, we bought her a really nice doggy bed. She has her own bed. We alternate. We have 2 beds for her, so we alternate and wash them, and she's always in a clean bed.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I guess, what does her skin look like? Does she have any kind of hair loss, oiliness, greasiness? When you touch her, any particular part of her body, does she smell, or is it all over?
It's just all over. And, my wife does a lot of entertaining through her business. And when we have people over, where it's everybody's looking at each other's socks and...
They're all looking at each other like, who stinks?
Yeah,
no.
Right. It's like a real musky smell, though, and we're not sure what the cure for that is.
Well, I think the first thing that I would look at is anytime we have a bad odor, we can't find a cause. I do actually like to get really close to the pet, and believe it or not, I like to get some samples from the skin and look, because some pets can have problems with yeast infections. We can get staph infections or types of bacterial infections. And there are some dogs, and Dobermans kind of fit into that, where they can have problems with their oil glands in their skin, where they can have an excess production of some of these oils for some pets. So that's a possibility as well. But I would definitely say we'd want to do a test called an impression smear, where we look at all the skin surface under the microscope, look for any organisms, because I've definitely had dogs we've had to put on medicated shampoos and types of medications to help correct those things. And then there's always that certain pet that might even have some weirdo condition, like a condition called sebaceous adenitis, which creates a smelly, greasy coat. So I would definitely say that's where I would be going with things. Get some samples and make sure we're checking things like teeth and anal glands too, because those are really potent sources of odor from dogs. But if you're describing more of that kind of wet sock kind of smell, then I like to check for yeast. And yeast is a pretty stanky thing in a dog.
Yeah, well, actually, our where she gets groomed at is a really well-known place, and they do the anal glands, and so we know that's not a problem. We've got that much from our groomer, and her teeth are actually very, very white. We give her the clear raw hides, and that keeps them really clean. But she does flake a lot. I don't know. Maybe that's something to do with her skin.
Yeah, I would definitely say that will be worthwhile, because it's hard to say, let me just tell you this shampoo or that shampoo. It really would be an individualized thing that we'd want to find out what's going on her skin surface. And it's such a simple type of a test, but it can really give us oodles of information on what's growing or what's going on your baby's skin. So I would definitely pick up that phone and line up that visit with your veterinarian, because I think we could probably do some things to help her out in a lot of different avenues with shampoos. And actually sometimes we can over shampoo too, so that can actually make some conditions worse. So let's get to the vet and find out what we're scratching about and what's going on. This is Dr. Debbie with Animal Radio. We are here to take your calls, 1-866-405-8405.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now at 1-866-405-8405.
Hey everybody, this is Brett Michaels, and I just want to say, you, right now, want to take, give me the line again, my brain skipped.
Brett Michaels.
I just had one of my brain hemorrhage brain farts.
Oh,
Go
don't
ahead,
do that, don't do that. I don't want to be responsible for that.
Trust me, it's me. Go ahead.
Animal Radio, Brett Michaels, Animal Radio.
You got it. I knew the Animal Radio, okay, here we go. Hey, this is Brett Michaels. You're listening to Animal Radio, and take care of your pets. They will rock your world.
People say less is more. At Red Barn, we think less is better. It's what you won't find that sets our natural premium pet food apart. No byproducts, no corn or soy, no fillers. Just the natural ingredients your pets need to live the healthy life they deserve. Look at the label. We want you to. Red Barn Naturals Pet Food. Simply the best. Find it in your local pet specialty store. Red Barn canned food for cats and dogs is grain and gluten-free.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Find us at animalradio.com. Log on, learn more.
It is so easy to reach out to us. Here's the toll-free number, 1-866-405-8405. And you can also ask your questions from the free Animal Radio app for iPhone, Android, and BlackBerry. Download that puppy now if you haven't. It's great because if there's a recall or any news that really affects you and your animals, you'll get it first through your notifications on your phone, your smartphone. I still have one of those flip phones. I haven't upgraded yet.
Oh, how?
Do you really? Oh, my gosh.
I know. It's
I don't even know how to work those anymore.
You know things confuse me, like electronics confuse me, and phones especially. So I'm happy with it.
I'm surprised you don't have your old dial phone.
Well, I would if I could. It's actually more costly now to have a dial phone or a landline than it is.
You know those ones with
but
the
yet
circles.
They want you to get one so that, it's like cheaper if you get the landline, and who needs it?
Yeah. How can I text from a landline at a restaurant? That's what I want to know. Because that's what you do at restaurants. When you go out with a lot of people, you just
everybody's
bury
sitting
your
there
head
on their phone. Yeah. They don't even talk to each other.
Not with my little flip phone. I'm like looking around at everyone at the dinner table, like trying to start some conversation, but they're all engaged in their phones.
Oh, yeah, and then we went out to dinner the other night, and there's a computer right there on the table that you can pay your bill from. But God forbid that you would want to play the trivia, that you would have to pay an extra $2 to, Even kids, I thought, I'll play the kids' trivia. That's got to be free. They always do everything to make the kids happy.
Guilty. I've played that before.
Yeah, and then got the bill for it. Yeah. Whoops.
Anyway, so it appears that in just a few minutes we may be talking to Bob Barker for his 15th appearance here on Animal Radio. We'll find out in just a couple of seconds right here. Lori, what are you working on over there in the newsroom?
Well, we've got something new happening in the world of exotic pets. But this isn't your kind of, water tropical pet. This is just more of a unique new pet, but they're calling it exotic. And we'll tell you what it is. And it's supposedly very, very difficult to potty train this, if not impossible. So don't get your hopes up, okay?
Okay. I'm not even potty trained yet. Okay, so let's go to the phones. Toll free 1-866-405-8405 right now. And another one for Doc. We have Ron on the phone. Hi, Ron. Welcome to the show.
Good day.
What's going on?
The problem I have with a truck lab, her name is Dolly. She is chewing on her pads on the bottom of her feet right now, her two front paws.
Okay.
And she's
go ahead.
She's cracking them open.
Well, if this is something where it just happened all of a sudden, the first thing I look at is if there's been some recent activity that's kind of gone over the edge. Some dogs will just a little bit, especially labs, they'll be a little bit anxious and overdo it when it comes to activities like retrieving, running. So if there's been some physical injury where she sustained that, then we look at bandaging and getting her off her feet and some R&R for a while. Now, there are certainly dogs that will get some cracked pads, and for various different reasons. Some of them can be some metabolic problems inside the body, and other times it's just a matter of some dry skin or what we call hyperkeratosis. So it really would be something I would advise to have a vet get their eyeballs on, just so that we can make that distinction, because there are definitely some really freaky looking foot pads in older dogs where the foot pad actually grows off to the side. It gets all kind of bristly looking, and it can have all these fissures and cracks in it, and by itself that isn't usually a problem. So if the fact that she's bothering it, and especially if we see any oozing or bleeding, then this is something we really need to get a look at. And with an older girl of 13, some of those metabolic problems kind of come to the surface, and we might want to evaluate that a bit further.
Okay, I was just wondering, this is all of a sudden, I'm a truck driver and she's in a truck all the time, so
okay,
it causes a problem because they're different places all the time, and she's walking on asphalt all the time, and that's hot sometimes because of the heat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this would be something where it sounds silly, and Hal will probably laugh at me, but there are dog booties and dog socks that have little bits of skid pads on the bottom. So if it is a matter of her feet are sensitive and we're not able to get to a vet to do bandaging, some of those little socks and the booties, it takes a little time to get them used to that and acclimated to that, but that might be a protective device that you can use, especially when you're on the road, to just keep those feet from really getting irritated. And yes, I would put those on Boss. I think that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
I think those are
protect
cute.
Our babies.
I think they're cute. I actually do think they're cute. It's when you start putting on the dresses with the frills that I get a little perturbed. But the booties are great. And I know that Ladybug actually has little booties that go on there. It's so cute. Ron, I hope that helps you out, buddy.
That helped a lot. Thank you very much.
1-866-405-8405. By the way, we do follow-ups. I don't think there's any other radio show that does follow-ups. If you have issues still, our solution doesn't help you, feel free. It's free of charge. It really is. 1-866-405-8405. What is it, a full moon? Oh, it is?
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now at 1-866-405-8405.
Dogs or cats, horse or emu, animals are people too. Does your dog have really bad breath? I mean really bad breath. Bad breath in a dog could mean periodontal disease, which left untreated can be very dangerous to the overall health of your pet. Small dogs are extra prone to dental problems because their teeth are so close together. Your dog should have his teeth examined once a year by a vet, and you can help prevent plaque buildup by brushing your dog's teeth at least twice a week. It's not as bad as it sounds. Any pet supply store can set you up with a special pet toothbrush and toothpaste. Don't use human toothpaste. It's not made to swallow. The dog toothpaste tastes good, to a dog, and your dog will actually grow to enjoy it. I'm Britt Savage for Animal Radio. Animals are people too. Animal Radio.
Geico presents a voicemail from your friend, Lightning.
Hey, bud, Joe Pal Lightning. I was just hanging out in the old Cloudaroo here. Thought I'd give you a call. I hope you're still not sore about that time I deep fried your big screen TV with that bolt. Yeah, I've been meaning to pay you back for that one, for sure. A little short on cash at the moment, but any day now. Yep. Well, anywho, talk later.
Lightning won't pay for the damage it causes. Luckily, the Geico Insurance Agency makes getting coverage a snap. Visit geico.com to see how affordable renter's insurance can be.
Hi, this is Doug Gray of the Marshall Tucker Band, and forever you'll always be listening to Animal Radio. Keep loving those pets.
This is an Animal Radio News Update brought to you by Fear Free. Fear Free takes the pet out of petrified and puts the treat into treatment. To learn more and find a certified Fear Free veterinary professional near you, visit fearfreepets.com.
I'm Lori Brooks. Experts say there's a new trend in the world of exotic pets. Although when I think of exotics, this isn't exactly what I think of, but it is unique and different. We're talking about the increase in people who are adopting miniature donkeys. I mean, they're so small, for a donkey, but pretty much about the same size as a big dog. And those who own and even show these mini donkeys say they are really smart and very responsive to humans. Which, is kind of like a dog. That's why we love our dogs so much. They just want to be near you, and these donkeys are the same way. One man who has 30 of the miniature donkeys says he's trained a lot of different breeds of dogs and young horses, but he says the donkeys, these mini ones, are a lot more like training a dog than they are like a horse. But still, he does concede house training a mini donkey is virtually impossible, saying that he's found that when they need to potty, they just do it.
Yep.
Kind of like wherever they are, or a horse.
I'm thinking,
going down the parade route. Excuse me, everybody, I have to,
Right in the living room there.
Yeah. So, and they don't, so that, for that reason, they don't recommend them in the house. But the bigger issue, bigger than potty training, is they are, equine. They are herd animals. So they say you really need two. Either two donkeys or a donkey and a horse, or those mini donkeys will become very, very lonely. One breeder of them says she has even turned down potential adopters that do not already have at least one herd animal already in their home. The ultimate fate of that steer in that viral video from Texas. Did you see that one? The steer who escaped from a slaughterhouse earlier this month. His fate is still up in the air, although one rescue group says Baby Huey, that's what they've named him, he's got his own hashtag, Baby Huey, that he may now be kept by the owners of the slaughterhouse, and they're thinking about keeping him as a family pet. But the Rowdy Girl Sanctuary Farm in Texas has informed that family that if they decide they don't want Baby Huey anymore, they need to tell the sanctuary so that they can go ahead and make other arrangements that would allow Baby Huey to live out his life without fear of being sent back to a slaughterhouse again. That was wild. Wild.
Yes.
The world's first privately owned animal terminal and quarantine facility. Incredible. It is opened up at John F. Kennedy International Airport in New York. It is called, they call it the Ark. It's a ginormous $65 million, 14-acre facility. That's huge. Yeah. But still, it's been so professionally done and well thought out. They say that even at that size, that it's cozy enough for a tiny kitten, but spacious enough even for a Clydesdale if you want. The ARC caters to travelers who send their animals as cargo on flights, but they do not want them hanging out unattended, say, in the holding area, either before or after a trip, where so many animals, get lost or die from the heat and everything. Uh-huh. Companion animals will be staying at the Pet Oasis, which is part of the ARC huge complex, and they welcome pets arriving, departing, or pets who are just in between flights, and that starts at a fee of about $125. Before takeoff, though, you can drop off your pets, and then they get the animal ready. They give them a pre-flight walk. They check the crate for airline compliance, and then the staff will then transport the pet to the plane. So there's always a human with your pet. And then they coordinate with the airline on the exact departure time if there are any delays and things like that to minimize the wait in the boarding area. Now, for arrivals, imagine that you're in traffic and you can't get there and you've got, for some reason your pet is flying by itself. The staff picks up the pet from the airplane and they handle all of the customs and paperwork requirements. And then once they get over to the Pet Oasis, there they get their food, they get a bath and brushed, and plus they get potty breaks in a grassy area. And pet parents can also receive photo updates of their pet's journey. But if by chance you happen to have a furry friend of a larger variety, the ARC also has a dedicated area for horses and even horse quarantining, and for those who travel with them, like their jockeys and grooms. And there's also a specialized habitat just for birds of all kinds. And they say that a vet clinic is also in the works there, as is a Paradise for Paws. And if you don't know what that is, it's a luxury pet resort that is already operating in a few cities near the big airports, mostly in Chicago, Denver, and Dallas-Fort Worth.
I've heard about those. Boy, it's really amazing how we are now accommodating animals in and out of the cities, the major cities.
About time.
Yes.
Lucy, is there a problem?
Was that Lucy? Lucy
She's like, you promised me a trip to Hawaii. Yes, that's Lucy. Anyway, I just thought that was fantastic. I mean, I love when things are so well planned and things, because what we had, at airports in the past, several decades has clearly not been working or for the benefit of the animals. It was just to get them from point A to point B, and sometimes even that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I'm Lori Brooks. Get more breaking animal news anytime at animalradio.com.
This has been an Animal Radio News Update brought to you by Fear Free. The veterinarian isn't typically thought of as your pet's favorite place to go. With Fear Free, that all changes. To learn more and find a certified Fear Free veterinary professional near you, visit fearfreepets.com.
Hi friends, this is Dr. Marty Becker, America's veterinarian. As you know, going to the vet can be a traumatic experience for your pet, but it doesn't have to be that way. In fact, vet visits can be something your pet looks forward to. Introducing Fear Free. When your veterinarian is fear-free certified, you will be assured your pet's vet visit is more free of fear, anxiety, and stress than ever before. Fear-free takes the pet out of petrified, and it puts the treat into treatment. To find a certified fear-free veterinarian near you, go to fearfreepets.com.
We're going to line 3, and Rick is on that line. Hey, Rick, how are you?
I'm doing just fine. How are you doing today?
Good. I have Dr. Debbie here. How can we help you?
I have a English Bulldog. He's about, he's almost 7 years old. And there's two problems that we're having with him. One problem is a recent problem. The other one's been going on for a while. But the older problem is that he will start having like a seizure. His head will start shaking real bad, and it's only his head. And English Bulldogs, they do not like being held. But when his head starts shaking, he wants you to hold his head still for him. And it goes on for a few minutes, and then it eventually stops.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, that's an easy one. I can tell you there is actually a weird syndrome of head shaking, and it is believed to be a seizure disorder, and we see it commonly in a couple breeds. And the English Bulldog is definitely one of those. Dobermans, Boxers, and I think Labradors are the other ones. And the head shaking, it really is, some dogs will do the yes seizures, or the yes shaking, or the no shaking, where the head goes up, down, up, down, up, down, like they're nodding at you. Other dogs will go no to the right and left, back and forth, back and forth. And it's very harmless. It's not anything we really treat for. Nothing necessarily really reliably works. And it is just more of an inconvenience than anything else. And the good thing is most of the dogs, the bulldogs and the Dobermans that do this don't really develop anything else more serious. So like a grand mal seizure or other types of neurologic problems. So it's more just something to kind of have to live with and to know that he's a little special.
Okay, great. Okay, and one other problem that just started this past year, as he has gotten to the point where he's getting really bad about trying to, hump you, and he'll do it while I'm sitting on the bed, and he will try it, and I'll tell him no, and he'll start barking at me and growling at me and getting mad. If I have him neutered, will this fix this problem?
Oh yeah.
It would be the first thing I would do, and I would say I sure hope so. And I feel bad for you. The other day I was actually in an exam room with an English bulldog. He was not neutered, and I walked up, petted him on the head, and I turned around to talk to his parents, and he started humping my leg and just kind of let go. So they have a very strong sex drive, and yeah, if he's not a breeding fella, there's no reason those little guys have to be there dangling between his legs. I would say get this fella neutered, and hopefully it will help with some of that behavioral thing. I'm a little concerned because the barking and some of the behavioral thing can also be a dominance display. So the first thing I do is sign up for the neutering, and then the second thing after that's done is if he's still displaying some of those behaviors, we may need to get some behavior training as far as to deal with some of that dominance issues.
Yeah, go get him neutered and then call us back if you're still having problems. And there's a lot of reasons, not only because he's humping your leg, not only because he can go out and procreate and we already have too many animals, but there's health reasons too, certain cancers that can be avoided with neutering and spaying and neutering. Is that correct, Doc? Am I right there? Am I wrong?
No,
I'm right.
Definitely. You got it. And, I know we're all very passionate about some of these, the good benefits. And, a lot of it translates into preventative health. I know in earlier calls we've talked about urinary problems, prostate disease. We can avoid so much of this for our pets by just getting them spayed or neutered before they get into that sexually active phase. So,
snip, Rick. Snip, snip.
Yes, definitely. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks for listening. 1-866-405-8405 to connect with any one of the Dream Team.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now at 1-866-405-8405.
Hi, this is Justin Silver from CBS's Dogs in the City here on Animal Radio, just reminding you to always stay and neuter your pets.
Allergy sufferers are hearing a lot of numbers these days about symptoms and relief. But the number sufferers want most is zero, as in zero nasal allergy symptoms. And nothing gets you closer to zero than Nasacort. Because unlike antihistamines that stop only one cause of your allergy symptoms, Nasacort stops more. And stopping more gets you closer to zero. For 24-hour relief of your worst nasal allergy symptoms, including congestion, choose Nasacort. It stops more of what makes you miserable. Use as directed.
You're listening to Animal Radio. If you missed any part of today's show, visit us at animalradio.com or download the Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
It's Animal Radio, celebrating the connection with our pets. Toll free, 1-866-405-8405. And we'll go back to those phones in just a couple of seconds. But for his 15th appearance on Animal Radio, we welcome back Mr. Bob Barker. Hi, Bob.
Hi, is this Hal?
Yes, how you doing?
Hal, I'm sorry I'm late, but I'm here, and I hope you'll forgive me.
I understand that it was problems on our end.
With our
phones here. It's been raining heavily around the studios here.
I wish I hadn't mentioned that I was late, and you'd thought it was your fault.
Yeah, never would have known. Well, you know what? We're having a good year with the whole thing with the circus, the Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey.
Hey, how about that?
Yeah, they're shutting down shop. What do you think about that?
Oh, you know how I'm ecstatic, and I think every animal rights guy in the country is ecstatic, and probably several other countries.
And then SeaWorld also taking their
Yep.
Yeah,
that movie was I never saw it, but it must have been a wonder.
Yeah. A couple of weeks ago, there was this whole hubbub around A Dog's Purpose, this movie and the treatment of
Right.
What was your take on that?
Well, it's just like everything else. American Humane Association representatives were there right there. They never do anything to help animals. It's so disgusted with them. They are accepting money from the movie industry, and they're accepting money from other organizations as well, I understand, and they're just they're disgusting.
Yeah, well, it seems like the hands are in the wrong pockets,
That's your life.
And, you never know what really happened on the set. They said a lot of that video was edited, but the AHA admits that maybe there were some lines crossed, and it just doesn't seem right.
Well, they shouldn't let those lines be crossed, but they do it regularly.
So how about you? What have you been up to lately?
Well, at my age, 93, I'm working hard at getting up and going to breakfast.
That makes a good day for you, huh?
That's a job, and sometimes takes so much energy that I don't have any lunch.
You just have to fill up at breakfast there.
Yeah, I got to get down to breakfast and get that original start every day. But I keep pretty busy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So do you have any animals nowadays?
I don't. I am in a very rare situation in my lifetime. I don't have any animals at the moment, but you can bet that will change.
Yeah, when you said at the moment there.
At the moment,
Now, do you think if you decide to add another animal, would it be a rabbit or maybe a dog or a cat?
Well, it probably would be a dog or a cat, although I had 2 rabbits, and I'm telling you, that was one of the great experiences of my life. Mr. Rabbit and his honey bunny. And she lived to a top age for most rabbits.
Yes.
But he broke records. He was just a great little rabbit, and she was splendid too. And they just to watch them was fun.
Sure. Didn't they live on the second floor pretty much?
Yep.
Yep.
They never left the second floor. They had this one big room all for them, and there was an overstuffed chair in there which they ate, and they were very destructive, but they were just a joy to have around.
And cuddly too.
Oh, cuddly! You bet your life. They love to be petted. In fact, if I would go upstairs, Mr. Rabbit would go run by a certain chair where I would sit and pet him, and I'd sit and pet him no matter what else I was doing.
Have you been doing anything on the animal front?
Well, I have been helping a family up in Canada. They have a problem up there. Bears, there's no protection for them. And the baby bears, they get killed right and left. And
so these are orphaned. They've been orphaned in one way or another?
Yeah.
Is it humans that are killing their parents? Or is it just nature?
It's hunters, yeah.
Yeah.
Hunters.
It's like a trophy to them.
Mm-hmm. Something
Right.
for their wall. Yeah.
Right. I was on the National Rifle Association's enemy list, and I called them and tell them that I was in no way opposed to guns. I sleep with a 45 right by my bed every night, and if anyone gives me any trouble, I'll have no problem in blasting away at them. But I don't want to go out and kill animals. They seem to understand that. I hope I've been removed from the list. The last thing in being anti-guns, I think that every home should have a gun or two, and I do.
Yeah, well, you use them for defense, but for a poor, helpless animal that unless you arm the animals. Now that might be hunting. I'd like to see if there was a fairer fight.
Animal.
Well, I appreciate you taking time with us today. Did you know this was your 15th appearance here on Animal Radio?
I did know that, and I don't know how. You're taking a terrible risk because your listeners might be sick of Bob Barker.
You know, it's...
Listen to that old man tell the same stories over and over.
We thank you for spending time with us. And when you get that pet, let us know if you decide to get a cat or a dog or another rabbit.
Well, I have a lady friend, house guest right now, and she's pet enough for me.
There you go. I love it. Thank you so much, Bob.
Thank you both, and it's a pleasure talking with you as always.
Be well. Okay, it's time for us to get on out of here. Thank you so much for joining us today. And if you need your fix during the week, visit us over at animalradio.pet.
Bye-bye.
Bye. See you next week.
This is Animal Radio
Network.